Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode number 10 of Playing with House Money present the Soccer Gambling Cognoscenti. I am Ice, the head of the SGC, back today in 2024. On my own, as you can see, no DJ Prue with me, unfortunately, today. But we are back, bigger, better, and more ready than ever for the next half of the European soccer seasons. And looking forward to seeing what the MLS will give us in 2024 as well. This weekend, it's Cup weekend in the UK, so no Premier League action, no Championship action. Championship was good to us. If you are in the Discord, you know the Championship was good to us over Christmas and the New Year. We cashed a couple of decent bets on there. But yeah, these teams, it's the third round of the FA Cup. The big boys, the Premier League sides are in the hat for the third round draw. So this is where we get some giant killing. We get some Premier League sides up against some lower league sides who are left in the draw. And yeah, so we're just going to be looking for some mismatches where we think there are some mismatches, and also where we think that there's potential mismatches, which mean that the bigger sides are going to rest their key players and potentially give us some opportunities to cash some tickets on the underdogs on those lower league sides, because this is the biggest game of the season for them. So yeah, that's really what we're going to be looking for this weekend. And as we go through a couple of the matchups, there'll be some on both sides, and there'll be some that we think are going to be evenly matched. So that's what we're looking out for. And that's really what I think, everyone needs to look out for, understanding that, in these cup ties, you're not going to get, case in point, I think Man City are playing early Sunday morning, home to Huddersfield, who are in the Championship. And I wouldn't expect to see any of the big guns playing for Man City, to be perfectly honest with you. They can put out a similar side to one that they did in the last Champions League game, where everything was tied up. They're playing some of their kids to bring them through, and they should still, the under-21 Man City side should have enough to beat Huddersfield. But the books are going to give us the prices on on Man City right now, assuming that they're playing some of their starting lineup, and I don't think that's the case, to be honest. We're going to see some Oscar Bob, I think, will probably get a start again. So we'll definitely look at that on Sunday morning from a goal scorer's perspective, just get some value on these guys. But that's the type of thing, like, I don't think you should necessarily be just taking all the Premier League sides playing the lower league opposition on the money line, because the one thing I can tell you about FA Cup football is that there is going to be some giant killing. There is going to be that underdog story where one of these lower league sides is going to make it to the quarterfinals and things like that. So that's what we're going to try and look through and break through for us today. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, check out Playing with House Money. Most recent episode went live yesterday. We're doing that all the way through the NFL playoffs. We'll be releasing some content for basketball. NBA season is really picking up now, and MLB spring training will be round the corner and here before you know it. And DJ Prue will be back on that kick later in the year. So check us out, and like I said, join us on the Discord. You're missing out if you're not in there. It's $25 per month, but for that, you get all of the SGC content. You get all of football season content and college football from DJ Prue. You get all of the basketball from both of us. You'll get all of the MLB next season. And plus, we do have some Liga MX. The new season of that kicks off in January, and we have the Liga MX GOAT, Brandon, in the Discord firing out his winners too. And I mean, for any one of the three of those different things, you could be, paying similar money. So it's well worth it. Jump on in at PW_house money on Twitter. The link's in the bio, or come and find me at Iceman_1013, and we'll direct you the right way. And if you mention that you watch the show, then I might be able to give you a promo and get you some money off the first month's entry fee. But yeah, like we said, Saturday, we actually kick off Saturday with an absolute banger. This, I think, is potentially one of the games of the weekend, and it's a 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time kickoff. And it's actually a local derby. It is Sunderland at home to Newcastle. Been to both of these stadiums. These guys, I know a lot of Sunderland fans, and they're a passionate bunch, Sunderland and Newcastle fans, two of the most passionate sets of fans in England. And this game is going to be, it's a local derby. They're right next door to one another, up in the northeast of England. So yeah, a lot at stake to play for. And Sunderland, obviously, in the Championship, they were in the Premier League many seasons ago. They dropped down a few tiers, and Newcastle kind of did something similar. Newcastle found their way back into the Premier League, have been going great guns the last 18 months, but they're struggling away from home. So this is one of those where I think, Sunderland have been... They are very hit and miss at home. Their last 5 Championship games, they've won 3, they've lost 2. So they can't really find any solid consistency. But like I said, Newcastle away from home, consistently terrible. They haven't won last time they won an away game was in the EFL Cup back in the beginning of November, and that was against Man United when... again, but last league game that they won was actually away against Sheffield United. They destroyed Sheffield United 8-0. If you remember that, back at the end of September. But October, November, December, like I said, in Premier League action, they got 3 draws. And the rest of the games they've lost. So this is one of those where I think the value is huge on Sunderland here. To be perfectly honest, it's a big game. Do not underestimate the home fans in a game like this, which I think could be very tight. You also have the potential that Newcastle are going to rest some players. So I think the value that we get here on Sunderland right now is based on Newcastle playing their strongest lineup. But like I said, I think... even their strongest lineup, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people assume because of the nature of the game. This is Sunderland's cup final this year. Being a derby as well makes it, that extra little bit spicy. But I also think that Newcastle probably don't play Isaac. They probably don't play Bruno Guimaraes because they're challenging and trying to stay in contention in the league. The last thing they want is playing one of their star players getting injured and losing them. So I do expect a player or two to be rested from this Newcastle side, and therefore plus 300 on the money line for Sunderland is not a bad look. But for Sunderland to score twice, we get plus 200, which I think is huge. For a home team like Sunderland, they've scored 2 in 2 of their last 5 home games. Anyway, yes, okay, they scored against West Brom and they scored against Preston, who are not the best teams, but like we said, Newcastle away from home, they conceded 4 at Tottenham, they conceded 3 at Everton, and Everton, I know they're on a good run of form. They conceded 2 away at Bournemouth, they've conceded 2 away to West Ham, Wolves. They lost away to Luton Town. And Luton Town last season were in exactly the same position that Sunderland are kind of now. Like, I just think this one has a lot of value potentially in Sunderland, and that one on Saturday is one that I'm tempted to. We're going to only play a couple of games in that single bet. The one I'm going to match with that is a later kickoff. It's the 12:30 kickoff, and similar story. It's actually Middlesbrough, who are in the same part of the world as Sunderland and Newcastle. That's why the kickoff is late, because Sunderland and Middlesbrough aren't far from each other either. But they're playing at home to Aston Villa, who, as we know, are going great guns in the Premier League this season. One of the form sides at home. But similar story, very similar story to what we've just talked through. Middlesbrough at home are not pushovers. They are, again, struggling to find consistency. That's the key. When they're on it, they're on it. They're scoring 4 or 5 goals. When they're not, they're getting beat at home, by Hull and people like, Coventry, which isn't great for them. But Aston Villa, again, they've been a little bit lackadaisical away from home recently. They gave up a 2-goal lead against Manchester United at Old Trafford, 2-0 up and cruising, lost the game 3-2. They drew away against Bournemouth 2-2. And again, I think their eyes are firmly on the prize of the Premier League. So again, I would assume that we don't see Ollie Watkins. We're probably not going to see the Scottish Messi, John McGinn. These players are probably going to get rested for this game. And where we're going here is, I still think that the Villa second string, as it were, or those players that normally come on for the last 15, 20 minutes of an EPL game are strong enough to probably beat Middlesbrough. But I think it's a bit more of an even contest. And taking the both teams to score at -152, putting that with the Sunderland team total over 1.5 gives us a lovely +400 for 4 goals. And I'll be playing those two and that +408 parlay as one bet. And then the games, like I said, we're kind of looking for those mismatches, and we have 2 mismatches on the 10 a.m. slate. We've got 5 games total on the 10 o'clock slate that I'm looking at. We're looking at 2 separate bets. We're looking at one, which is these 5 teams. Again, the team totals, all teams to score 2+ goals or over 1.5 team totals. First up, we have Brighton and Hove Albion away to Stoke. Again, basically exactly the same thing. You'll find like this goes throughout. You've got a team at home, not in great form in the league. They haven't won a home game since October. Their last 5, last 6, they've drawn 4, lost 2. They've not really scored many. Up against Brighton, who, again, Brighton are struggling away in the Premier League, but they've gone up against West Ham, drawn 0-0. They lost 2-0 away to Arsenal. But they are a much better side than Stoke. And again, I expect Brighton to rest players, but I do like Brighton to win here and Brighton to score twice. The youngsters that they have in this team on the South Coast, Brighton are the future's looking very bright for them. So, in a similar vein, we've also got Bournemouth away against QPR, Queen's Park Rangers. I think that, again, is a similar story. QPR struggling. They have not won a game at home or away since the beginning of December. Their last 6 games, they've lost 4, drawn 2. At home, they're coming off back-to-back defeats at Loftus Park. And Bournemouth have actually had a great run in the Premier League, especially away from home. Their last away game, they lost 3-1 away to Tottenham. But prior to that, they've beaten Manchester United. They've beaten Nottingham Forest away, and convincingly so, right? They've scored 3 goals in 3 of their last 5 away Premier League ties. So, again, I think we see no Dominic Solanke for them. But the second string, the reserve side, I think for Bournemouth is going to have more than enough for this QPR side, and -184 for those 2 goals for Bournemouth. I like that one. And then we switch over and we get some championship teams against real lower league opposition, and they're at home. And I think whenever you get a home side that is higher in a higher tier, then the giant killing, the David versus Goliath becomes much more unlikely, because you don't have the home side support. It's not like college football or American football over here in the NFL, where the stadium's kind of half and half. All of these stadiums are going to be packed to capacity. Certainly with the Premier League sides going away. Like I said, Sunderland v Newcastle, that stadium is going to be 70,000 Sunderland fans and probably 2,000 Newcastle fans. So, when you get the home side that gives you that advantage, but they're the higher tiered side, then, that's where you want to look to take advantage. And first one of those is Blackburn Rovers against Cambridge United. Blackburn themselves are one of those teams in the Championship that always seem to have goals in their games. They've got a leaky defence, but they're pretty decent going forward. They're hitting their over 2.5 in 80% of their games in recent months. So, they're doing really, pretty decent at home, scoring 2 goals a game every other week. And they're up against Cambridge, who in League One, which is the league below the Championship, where Blackburn are, they're struggling. They haven't won an away game this season. So I think Blackburn minus 250 for them for 2 goals. Again, these types of bets, you're not going to be taking these as straights, but we're putting all 5 of these teams over 1.5 goals into a parlay. So Blackburn Rovers is the third one that goes into the mix. The next one there is going to be back on the south coast. It's Southampton up against Walsall. Southampton are flying at home in the Championship. They have won 7 straight home games. They've won 8 out of their last 9 home games, and convincingly so as well, right? They're winning games 5-0, 4-0. Beat Blackburn that we just talked about 4-0 at home middle of last month, so 3 weeks ago. So they're absolutely flying, and Walsall are in League 2. So they're 2 leagues below Southampton. So this one is a difference of probably 40 or 50 so seeds. If you seeded the teams from 1 top of the Premier League all the way down to 92 bottom of League 2, this one is a big mismatch, and that shows in the price. Southampton minus 350 to score twice. Again, I would assume that we are not going to see the Southampton players starting that start in the Championship for them. No Che Adams, no Adam Armstrong. But again, with the big difference in the sides, I think we see Southampton still have enough. And the last one, just again along the south coast, there's a theme here, which I didn't mean to do at all. Most of these south coast sides, 4 out of the 5. But we have Plymouth in the Championship taking on Sutton United of League 2. So it's a similar kind of disparity to the Southampton game. But again, Plymouth, they haven't lost a home game. They lost 2 on the bounce back at the beginning of October, but then they've won 4 of their last 7, drawn 2. And Sutton they've won only one of their away games this season. So I think, again, it's another minus 350 for Plymouth to score twice, but Southampton, Plymouth and Blackburn, those 3 should roll in pretty easily. Brighton and Bournemouth, the 2 away sides, they're the ones where I think we're a little bit more kind of edgy, certainly with the prices at minus 184 and minus 200. But wrap all 5 of those up into a 10-goal parlay, and it's plus 416. So I like that. And then all 7 of those games on Saturday, the 5 we've just talked about, the Sunderland v Newcastle game, and then Middlesbrough versus Aston Villa, all 7 of those games over 2.5 match goals plus 2,000. That's the type of stuff we like. We're hoping that we get some 3, most of these games finished 3-0. Sunderland, Newcastle, I like the Sunderland to score 2, but I do think Newcastle probably got a goal in them. And Middlesbrough and Villa, like we said, we've got both teams to score. Villa likely score twice. So the over 2.5 goals in those first 2, in the rest of them, we're hoping that that, the underdog can sneak a goal, or, like you said, the bigger sides are putting 2, 3, 4 goals past them. And in some of these games where you do get those mismatches, look out for them. But, certainly in play, because some of these games could end up 6, 7, 8. To be perfectly honest, any 3, Southampton could score 6 or 7. So it's definitely worth looking out for those and seeing how these teams start. And if they get a goal early in these games, then definitely worth kind of going in on those 6 or 7 goals. They're much bigger for the bigger prices in, like I say, in the cup competition. And then on Sunday, just 3 games here. Like we said, we're not really going to focus on Manchester City because there's no value in them right now. The value will probably be in them at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning once we know the team news. But where we have got some similar things that we've already talked about. First one is Nottingham Forest against Blackpool. Nottingham Forest, if you've been in the Discord, we had them against Newcastle. They put 3 past Newcastle away from home. They just beaten Manchester United at home. We were on that one as well. So Nottingham Forest are having a decent time in the Premier League. That Manchester United victory was their first win in a while, but they are playing a Blackpool side, again, 2 tiers below them. They're in League One, and again, they're having a torrid time of it away from home. So that is a big difference in sides. Top of the table in League One, bottom of the table in the Premier League, there's still 25 or 30 teams between the two of them in the hierarchy. So definitely fancy Nottingham Forest there. Nottingham Forest, one of those types of sides that maybe won't rest any players because they actually want to progress in this competition. They also want to stay up in the Premier League, but if they can do well in the FA Cup, that gives the fans something a little bit more. It gives them a bit more emphasis. They want to now take those last 2 victories, push on. They don't want to rest their players and end up having to go to a replay or losing the game. And then all of a sudden, the head of steam that they've built up by beating United is taking, wins taken out of their sails by then going and losing at home to Blackpool. That would be, not the ideal outcome for them. So yeah, I think we probably do see some of the Forest, first teamers, Morgan Gibbs-White and the like, probably playing Anthony Elanga, probably playing 60, 70 minutes just to make sure that the game is won for Forest and they're moving on. The second game, so that's Nottingham Forest team total over 1.5. Then we take an away side and we're taking Leeds United away from home. Again, if you're in the Discord, you know that I'm a big fan of Leeds United. And yeah, they're struggling away from home, but they are playing against the League One outfit in Peterborough. Peterborough are not bad at home, not bad at all in League One. But again, Leeds are fighting for promotion back to the Premier League. One of the top 25 teams in the country. So I do like the Leeds United team total here, minus 180. We get some good value because, like I said, Peterborough are decent at home. We could take this game over 2.5, but we're going with Forest and Leeds, the team totals. And then the last one to kind of round off the weekend's action is potentially a cracker here. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool. I hate betting on Arsenal in the Premier League. We all know this. I've been on record and said it hundreds of times, and then I always find myself coming back to them. But this is a cup game. It's at the Emirates. Arsenal, apart from the blip to West Ham, where they had 4,000 shots and couldn't score a single goal, they've actually been very, very solid at home this season. And Liverpool away, Liverpool, we know. No Mo Salah, he's definitely not playing. He's away at African Cup of Nations, so he's not playing, even if they were going to play their home side. And we don't know. I don't know that we're going to get the same teams that we would if this was a league game. But I still think that either side that these two teams are going to put out, these two sides, even their reserve teams will go at it and give us a good game. So both teams to score in that one is the pick, with Leeds and Nottingham Forest plus 240 for the parlay there. But that's your lot. That's the 10 games we're focused on this weekend. If you want some more insight, then ping me on Twitter at Iceman_1013, at PW_housemoney. Join us in the Discord. Like I said, the links are all in our bios for the Discord. Jump in. We'll have some goal scorer bets. We've been smashing those every other day this week. So yeah, jump in, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the weekend's action, and good luck with all your bets. And we'll see you next week here at the SGC.